Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Mortal Kombat's Goro. He's to go with the rest of my Mortal Kombat set. We are going to make what you see here, and this is an advanced level project, but I will make it as manageable as possible. Let me tell you a little bit about how we're going to do this. So I'm going to make one arm with you on the loom, and you can make it on the hook if that's your preference. And then I'm going to do one leg with you on the hook, and I'm going to ask you at that point to pause and make the other 3 arms and the second leg. The body we're going to do on a double loom, and I have all of the bands laid out. I'll walk you through where they all go. After that, we're going to make the head, and we're going to attach the body to the head, and all of the limbs will be on at that point as well. So just I think just one other consideration is I've got a very flat-chested Goro here. If you wanted to make more pronounced chest muscles, then you can try playing around with extensions. I didn't do that here, but if you find something that you like, let me know, send me a picture. So without further ado, let's make our first arm, and I'll show you this on the loom. So we're going to start at the top with 2 skin tone bands, and I'm just going to bring them down once in the center. From here, we're going to take 3 bands and come out to one side from the second peg to the second peg, and take another 3 and come down from the second peg to the third peg in the middle. And I'll tell you one other note here, I just remembered. I'm going to show you a certain sequence of numbers here. When I did the other arms for this video, I just put 3 bands on each of these. So if you're finding this is a lot to work with, because some of these have 4 or 5, you can just keep them all at 3, and that will work fine as well. Alright, so far we have 2 bands, 3 bands, and 3 bands. Our next set is going to take 5 bands, and all 5 bands are going to go from the second peg on the right to the third peg on the center. I'm actually going to pull this down once. So it's now on the third peg down on the right. Now we need 4 bands, and they're going to come together from the third peg down on the side to the 4th peg down on the side. Now we're going to do 2 sets of 5 each coming down on the side. So 5 bands come down once, and another 5 bands come down once. And I've used this many bands to make it really nice and thick, make him look muscular. This upper part is a muscle technique I'm using. It's from PG Loomis's channel. Now we're going to take 3 bands and come down from, we are now at the 7th peg, and we're going to the 8th peg, and then we're going to take 4 bands, or fewer if it's a struggle. We're going to place them onto that last peg down, the 8th peg down, and wrap it once and twice. Then we can start looming. I find this a lot easier to do on the hook personally, but like I said, I wanted to show you both ways. So we'll do the arm this way, and we'll do the leg the other. You're going to take the 3 bands that are coming from the bag above and loop them forward. Now we go inside, and you're going to get all 4 bands, and bring those ones forward. We're going to keep looping up this way a couple of times. Make sure you get all of your bands as you go, and stop when you get to the 3rd peg from the top. Now this next one is a little bit tricky, because what we want to do is take this band out, and we're going to bring, or these bands out, and we're going to bring them back over the 2nd side peg and the 3rd peg in the middle. And we want to do this without losing any bands. So I'm going to kind of hold this down. It's going to be very tight. but it's back over those pegs. And now you can take the one in the center, bands in the center, loom those up, take the bands from the side and loom those in, carefully, and your last two are going to come from that second peg over to the top. Don't let those top ones come loose, but you can start to release tension on the rest of your bands and ease that all off of the loom. Now we're going to put our hook through the top ones, pull it out. We have a nice tight muscle. Okay, so there's one arm, and you can pause and make your other arms. And I'll just really quickly read you from the bottom. We had 4 bands wrapped, pulled onto 3 bands, onto 4, onto 5, onto 5, onto 4, and I made it narrower there so we get that little bend, onto 5, onto 3 bands on either side, and all onto 2 bands. So I'm going to pop this onto a holding hook and make your other 3 arms, and then we will make our leg. And this part I'll do on the hook. And this is similar to the arm, but we're starting from the opposite direction. So we're going to take 3 skin tone bands, wrap them 1, 2, and 3 times, and pull them onto 3 skin tone bands. Put your other end back. Take 2 skin tone bands and wrap them 1, 2, 3 times, and then bring the closer band from your first set over so that those rest in the middle. Now this is going to go onto 3 white bands. Try and keep them kind of in order there. Your middle ones will be a little bit tight, but it's okay. Put your other end back. And this is going to go onto 2 doubled over white bands. So take 2 white bands, stretch them out, give it a twist. You can do it with a single if it's too hard, or don't double them over. I'm doubling it over because I find it gives it that nice little bend in the ankle that we want. Otherwise our whole leg is going to be straight. Put the other end on, and this will go onto 3 white bands. Not doubled, just pull them through. And then onto another 4 white bands. Oops, missed one there. We go back to pink, and we're going to grab 3 pinks and pull them through, and 4 pinks, and don't replace the, that's only 3, we need 1 more. Don't replace the end just yet, because I'll show you on the hook the way we make our little muscle group. So we take 3, hold them at the end, kind of tight, but don't let it slip off the end of the hook. We're going to pull that first side over and bring that other side of bands back on. So it's slid through the bands on the one side. We're going to put the other side back on, and then we take another 3 bands and we hold them tight, and we push the first side, the ones that we just replaced, back on. And we're going to put that onto 2 bands. If you're finding that part difficult, what you can do, I'll show you really quickly here, is you can go back onto your loom and you can start the same layout. Do 2 bands, do your 2 bands, 3 bands, and 3 bands, and then take the next the next bands that we had on the hook that you wanted to have on the 2 sets and put it on top of both of those. I hope that's clear. I hope that helps. We have one more thing to do with our leg here, which is, oh, I can actually show you this right now because we're going to add another set on either side. So this next set, we're just going to have 2 bands. You can do this on your hook the same way we did our 3s by taking off one side, sliding 2 under here, and then sliding 2 under this side. Or you can come onto the loom, do 2 bands, 2 bands, 2 bands, and I'm going to take either side of the bands on the hook and put one onto the second peg and one onto the third center. And then we loop up the center once, we loop up the side once, and we're going to loop up the center one more time. Take that off, and there is our leg. Okay, let's pop that back onto our holding hook, and I'll get you to pause and make your other leg, please. Alright, so you need to have, at this point you want to have 4 arms and 2 legs. They're just on a holding hook for now. We're going to come to the double loom, and I will, sounds like there's music coming from out there, it's weird. I'm going to walk you through this whole layout here. So we have 6 rows across, and they are all even, they're all level with each other. And on, I'm trying to think of the best angle here, we'll just hold it up kind of. The 2 pegs in the middle, so you count from the side 1, 2, and then on 3 and 4, you're going to take 2 bands and stretch them across those 2 pegs and the 2 pegs underneath. So your 4 center pegs are covered by your first 2 bands. You're going to take 2 bands and come from your 3rd peg from the side and your 2nd peg down, and come down diagonally 1 time until you're at the 3rd peg down on the 2nd row in. I'm describing this all, you can look at the picture and see it, but I'm doing it verbally as well in case you're looking at the loom at the same time. You're going to do the same thing going out to the right side, so go from the 2nd peg on your 3rd row in from the right, come down diagonally to the 3rd peg down on your second row in. And then you're going to take 2 bands and come up to the side from the 3rd peg on the 2nd row in to the 3rd peg on the far side. Repeat that on the right side. And I'm going to get you to pause the video here and complete 6 rows of double bands down each side, down your 2nd rows, and you're going to fill in the middle section as well until it's even with the rest. So when you end, you will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows in, and you're going to have double skin tone bands all the way to that point. Okay, we're almost done laying out the bands on this. You need 1 row with double red bands, so 2 red bands on each row. And then looking at the center rows again, so that's your 3rd and your 4th row if you're counting up from the side. You're going to take 2 black bands and come down once on each of those. And on the pegs just to the sides of those, so your 2nd peg from one side and your 2nd peg in from the other, take 2 blacks and bring them down diagonally to the middle rows where you just finished laying your black bands off. Okay, so from here we can take 2 black bands and bring them across the 3rd and 4th rows in from the side. And we can take, just trying to see my picture here, kind of dark. We can take a single black band and create a cap band. You can put it on either of those bottom 2 center rows. I'm going to twist it, 1, 2, 3 times. You can do it 4 times if you like. Let's put on our holding bands. And I kept most of my bands loose. I'm making my bottom 2 skin tone ones a little bit tighter, but the rest I've just used straight singles. So let's start near the top. You're going to take a skin tone band and you're going to go from the 3rd peg down on one side all the way across to the 3rd peg down on your opposite side. And repeat that over the 4th pegs underneath. Stretch it across all 6 pegs. Do that again. Oops. We're going to do a total of 4 times, just singles across. Now for the next one, what I'm going to recommend is that you take your single, stretch it, twist it, and bring it back over the first 2 or 3 pegs if you can, so we get a little bit of tightness at the waist. My loom doesn't like that. Okay. We're going to do the same thing just below. We're going to make it, have it go across, and then make it a little bit tighter. So if you've got the room to, and the strength, loom strength to bring it over that second time, then I'll ask you to do that now. This isn't good. Hoping this is half the reason that I laid the bands in advance, is my frail loom. The other thing is I didn't want you to have to wait while I put everything on if you're faster than me, and while I triple checked every single band, because I don't want to miss anything here. Okay, we're going to need 1 more holding band over the reds. So this is your 5th peg up if you're counting from the sides. Stretch your red all the way across. And we need 1 to cover our black bands. I'm going to double this one over. No, I'm going to bring this across all of them. I think I'll use red though, so it blends in with the pegs on the side, the bands on the side. Now I almost missed this, so I'm glad I caught it and I came back to do this. We need to extend the bottom just a little bit further. So I think we laid our 2 blacks across. You're going to take those off and turn them sideways so they come down once and once on the other peg. If you have a look up here, you'll see what I mean. Then we're going to finish it off the way that we did already. Sorry, just a quick backtrack. 2 bands across. Double it over if you want a little extra tension, and we're going to take a single and cap that there. Alright, we're ready to put on our limbs. And for your arms, you're going to you'll have 4 bands. You can see I've lost one here. Let me slip that back in. You're going to have 4 bands on in total for each of your arm pieces. And they're going to go onto the 3rd peg down on the side and onto the 5th peg down on the side. So you're just skipping the peg in between. You're going to stretch it across. So you'll see 2 bands showing here and 2 bands showing here. Your next set is going to go right underneath that, and you're going to stretch that from your 5th peg, so it's going to overlap, and it's going to go to the 7th peg down. So again, you're going to just place it on and skip 1 peg. And it looks right now like there's going to be a lot of space, but once we loom it up, it's all going to compress and come together. So first one goes from the 3rd to the 5th, the second goes from the 5th to the 7th. We'll attach them on the opposite side. Same deal. Try if you can to angle it the direction you want your muscles to be, even if that means taking the bands off your hook and replacing them, which is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to flip this all the way around. Do it carefully if you're doing that though. And place that, again, the 5th to the 7th, overlapping the one we already have on the 5th. So arms are on, and our legs are going to go where the red is at the bottom. So you'll count up 4 pegs from the bottom to where we ended our bands. And this goes on the first 2 sets, 2 pegs on the side. Hold that up for you in just a second. Okay, like so. Repeat on the far side. You have a bit of an option here. You can leave the legs kind of loose the way they are, or you can do what I did, which is to kind of connect a little bit of the skin tone with the black, and I find that clinches it closer together. It keeps it from hanging separate. The only thing to be aware of is that you might have a little bit of skin tone showing on the inside once we loop. But I'm going to do that again all the same. We grab a band from near the top of the leg and pull it over sorry, the first of the black bands, and take another one, bring it over the bottommost black one. Do the same for the opposite side. Take a band from one of the top chains and pull it inwards, and from just underneath. You really don't have to do this, and you can always bring them closer when you're finished looping as well, and just tighten it after. Make sure this pink is under the cap band. Now we can start looping. We're going to go under the cap band and under the pink. We're going to find the top two black and we want to bring them over to the side. Losing my cap band here, gotta keep that tight. Okay, so top two bands, they go over sideways. And then we're going to go in and loop up, up, and on the next center peg over, go inside, get your bottom two and loop them up. And okay, you're going to see here I'm holding my loom down really well as I get my next two and bring them up diagonally and up straight. Go inside, get the next two, bring them up diagonally. We're bringing all the bands back to the pegs that they came from here. And the next two black go up straight. Make sure you stay underneath those pinks. You're going to see as I go, I'm going to be pulling some of the bands off the side once they're looped, just to keep the tension from getting to be too much. And we're going to go inside the next row where the reds are and loop your reds straight up. From here on, we're pretty well just pushing back holding bands and looping forward. If you're a little faster than me, feel free to jump ahead. And if, like me, you've got kind of a tricky loom here, or you just need a little more time, that's perfectly fine. You can always pause the video or just go at my rate here, whatever's most comfortable. Okay, I'm going to loop up my next row of skin tone bands. And I can feel my bands are getting a little tight, so I'm going to go back to the bottom couple of rows and release some of the lower sets here. I'm doing it carefully, and we're starting kind of on the sides and working inwards where we can. Now really you don't have to release any bands until you're all done, but like I said, for myself and the loom I'm working with, I find this helps. Taking off a couple more. And you can see I'm also holding on to the bands that I've just looped because I really don't want them to come off. When you get to the arms, push down, take only your bottom two bands and bring them forward. You're only getting the bottom two on each and every one of these rows. And if it helps, you can always push the arm up or turn your loom to the side. And you can see I've started going up this row straight across instead of continuing to do each row individually. It doesn't matter so much which order you go in, as long as you're moving in an upwards direction. And I'll get you to stop when you get to the third row from the top. So we'll kind of do that part together. Be careful as you're going that you're not missing anything as well. Stop now and again and check you've got your teardrops all the way along. Because I'll tell you, if you miss one set, you're going to have quite potentially your whole piece falling apart. That wouldn't be good. Oh, I think we missed our, how about that, missed a holding band on the top set. Let's throw one in here. If you're already past here, it's okay, don't panic. You can always tighten it up from the back after, but just notice that, so we'll throw that in now. It's just skin tone band I'm stretching across there. Let's go back for the next row. I think I'll loosen some more. Okay, now from on either side you have those two bands we looped outwards. So we're going to try and get those. They should be right on the bottom. Go through your bands, take those two, so it's on the third peg down, loop inward one time, go inside there and loop up diagonally to your second peg down on your third peg in from the side. The next one can be looped up once. It's in your third row. On the left side, get those bottom two, bring them inwards. Go in for your next two and bring them upwards and diagonally. And we're going to loop up once on the fourth row in from the side and then loop up one more time. And you can see I actually changed this. Now I have two separate pieces. But you still have the two bands going over all four. It's okay. We're going to do the same thing, which is to loop from inside and bring it over back over the top pegs. I had to fix some of this up, so I changed that. It was just too tight on my loom. But it's the same thing. You're just bringing them up and over onto the top two. Hold on to your top bands that you just put in place. We're going to carefully take the rest of this off of the loom. This is my least favorite part, I think. I don't even like the sound that this makes, the little click. But it won't be long. Again, feel free to jump ahead if your piece is already off. I just have to be really, really careful with the lube that I've got. Okay, well, while I'm doing this, I'm just gonna take my top band or bands, put them onto a holding hook. I don't want those to come off by accident, and we're gonna have to transfer it to a hook right away anyway. Okay. Whew, there. If you have any loose bands, you can tighten them up at this point, and if you find you like one side better than the other, you can take your hook carefully out, or you can just transfer it to another hook. and we're gonna just reverse the direction. So I'm gonna put this onto a different hook, and then I'll come back through from the opposite side. Make sure you get through all of your bands. Do not drop any of these. That would be really, really bad. Okay. You can see this is still kind of a little loose down here, so I'm gonna go to the back. I'm gonna tighten it up. I'll go under a band close to the loose ones, grab a loose one, pull it through. Grab another loose one, pull it through. And just keep doing that until everything is nice and tight together. Then we will check the front, it's okay, and I'll pop this onto a C-clip. This part you don't have to do, it's just as I say, if you find your bands are a little bit loose and you want to make them a bit snugger, pop that under a nearby band. Okay, so here is our body, and we're ready to go to a loom with three rows, and I've got the middle one just above the other two. I hope this isn't going to be too much inconvenience for you. This is just, it's a little bit easier to do the head this way. So for the head, we start with this little top piece. We're going to take 2 black bands, come down from the top center to the top right, from the top center to the top left with another 2 black bands. In the middle we want 2 sets of double white bands coming down straight. And on either side we're going to come down once with double black. So just lay down 2 blacks on each of those sides and come inwards from the second side to the third center, 2 black bands, second right side to the third center. From here we can switch to skin tone, and we're going to come down from the third center to the third side, diagonally to skin tone. Repeat on the other side. Come down twice on either side with double skin tone bands. So there's 1 set of 2, 2 sets of 2. Right side, 1 set of 2, 2 sets of 2. And we'll come down 3 times in the middle, starting at the 3rd peg down in the center, and we're using double bands everywhere here. And then we'll close it up with double bands from your 5th side to your 6th center, and the other side, the 5th peg to the 6th in the center. Okay. Oh, actually, let's backtrack just a second. Take off those diagonal sets and one of the center sets if you would be so kind, because we're going to be popping on our body right there. But let's do our holding bands before we proceed, because I don't want to leave that undone. So black band, you can take it and go straight across your 2nd pegs to make a triangle. And on the face, I'm just using single bands, so I'm going to take one and bring it across all of the 4th pegs. And we're going to make our eyes. If you're using bands, you can wrap them 3 times each and pop them onto your hook. If you're using beads with a large hole, you can throw them onto your hook and transfer them onto a single skin tone. If you've got beads with small holes, as I do, we'll use Kate Schultz's method and put our beads onto a piece of dental floss, through a skin tone band, and back around through the beads. Let me slide those on. Whatever eyes you do, you just want to get them centered over a single skin tone. This goes onto your 4th peg down on either side. And then we're going to, in a minute, we'll separate it and pull it under. But let's add our body, and the reason we're doing this here is so that our body shows up kind of more at the back. Take all of the bands off your hook and carefully transfer them onto the 5th peg down in the center. Oh, almost lost one. Where is it? There it is. Whew, it was close. Okay. So sorry, this is going to be a little bit awkward, but And there you have it. Now we can finish our face. We're gonna put the rest of the face down on top. So one set in the center, one set on the side, and one more set coming down from the left side to the middle. And we're gonna cap it there. You wanna cap it reasonably tightly on that 6th center peg. Just try and keep your bands pushed down as you do this. So 3 or 4 wraps, I would say. I just did 3 there. And we want one more holding band over your 5th pegs down. It is getting crowded on the side here. Just do your best, please. And we're going to take the band with the eyes, separate the eyes, and grab one piece to pull under onto the 5th peg. Now I think that's everything. We are ready to loom. You're going to go under your cap band. Be very careful with this. Hold your bands down as you go. You want to take your top 2, bring them over to the right. And see, they just want to spring up. And I'm going to loop up the side a couple of times here just to secure it in place. So on the side, go through everything and take your bottom 2, move them forward, and I'll loop up one more time there. Go back into your holding cap on that 5th peg, take your top 2, next 2, bring them to the right, and we'll loop up the side twice, push back the bands with your eyes on it, go back in the middle, get the last 2, careful, careful, bring them forward, and push down, and your 5th peg from the top, we're going in to get the bottom 2, ease them forward, and forward again, and we will then loop inwards from either side. Okay, we're doing good, we're almost done. Let's go under where the pinks are on that 3rd peg and find your top 2 black bands and bring them over carefully to the left side. Take your next 2 and bring them over to the right side. And the last 2 are white, they're going forward once, and we'll finish off the sides. Bottom 2 black, loop them up, and loop into the middle from that top side peg. Do this again on the right side, and loop inwards. Last one, go back for your last white on that 2nd peg and bring it forward. You can take 1, or if you'd like for extra security, 2 black bands, get them ready on it, get it ready in your hand. Take your hook and point the open part away. Push it through all of the bands on the top center peg. Grab your black band, slide it through. As you do, you can turn your hook so that the open part is faced up. Put your other band on, and we'll bring one side over the other to create a slip knot. Hold on carefully or pop it on a C-clip, and we're going to take this off of the loom. I'm really excited. We made it. We made it. We're almost done. Okay. And we just have a tiny bit of adjustments to do, but we're pretty well there. Alright, you're going to hide that black band in the back, so turn it around, go under some nearby bands, and slide it under. You can put it on a C-clip now. I'm going to slide it a little further, I think, because it's still kind of floppy. If you have any loose bands, and I seem to have many this time, you can pull those under nearby bands. This is the back we're looking at. I'm just making this a bit tighter here. I think it's my prototype. I used a lot of bands and they got stretched out, so unfortunately I've got some loose ones now. Okay, we're going to put those onto a C-clip. You want to press your eyes through a little bit here too. And the other thing is our head is still kind of flopping about here. So to secure it, what we do is we take our hook and we go through from the back, to where we'd like our chin to sit. We're going to take a band or two out of that cap band on the chin, grab it completely and slide it through to the back. And when it's where you want it to be, you can pop that onto a C-clip or link it with some nearby bands. I'm going to weave it under here. I'll just use the same C-clip I've got on. So you can kind of angle it the way that you want a little bit too. I think that is about it. Again, any loose bands can be tucked away. Let's clean this up just a tiny, tiny bit more. And that is about that. So yeah, if you check my channel, go back a little bit, I've got a playlist with Sonia and Johnny Cage and Katana I just made. We've got Raiden. I've got most of the crew, so please take it when you got some time, check them out. And I thank you for watching, for making this guy with me.